Good evening, everyone. The board is looking out and saying how pretty it looks and how nice it is to have all of these beautiful smiling faces with us tonight. So we'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Spring Independent School District, and we are officially called to order on April the 9th, 2019. The time is now 7 p.m. Board trustees present are Winfred Adams Jr., Deborah Jensen, Justine Durant, Jana Gonzalez, Dawn Davis, and myself, Rhonda Newhouse. I would like to ask everyone to turn off or silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices that you may have. Thank you. Tonight's presentation of the colors will be led by the Dekaney Wildcat NJROTC Battalion. Captain Davis, can you share with us?
Yes, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Tonight's president's colors will be led by the Dekaney Wildcat Navy Junior ROTC Program Battalion. The pledge will be led by Cadet Imsman Alvarado. The Color Guard Commander carrying the U.S. flag is Chief Petty Officer Kurt Calavasa. Carrying the Texas flag is Cadet Command Master Chief Gerbert Grananulis. The right rifle is Cadet Ensign Eric Lopez. The left rifle is Cadet Lieutenant Commander Mario Kunetz. The Dekaney Wildcat Navy Officers Battalion led by Lieutenant Scott Thresser, Chief Victor Allen, and Chief Robert Dunn. Once the pledges has been completed, please remain standing. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order! Coolers! Ready? Good! Ready? Freeze! Pose! Freeze and order! 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 Ready? Cut! Up, out, freeze! Forward, order! Left, freeze! Forward, order!
Please give them a nice round of applause. At this time, I'd like everyone present to please just observe a moment of silence in your own way. Thank you. You may be seated. Our first item of business tonight is the superintendent's remarks. So at this time, I'd like to recognize our superintendent, Dr. Rodney Watson.
Thank you, President Newhouse and other trustees. Thank you all so much for all of you all's support over the past several weeks as we've been moving forward. Tonight, I'm particularly excited about our student group. I see several of my students from our superintendent's advisory group, and one of the great things that I have is having an opportunity to meet with our students, meet with our parents, and some of our staff in the various groups that we have. So tonight, you'll be hearing more information from them regarding our focus for the year. If you didn't know, this week is the Week of the Young Child, which is a great reminder about the importance of early education. And we know that early education has been a major priority in our strategic plan. We're celebrating this event with activities every day throughout our Spring Community Engagement Center, where parents of children aged 0 to 4 can take part in fun learning sessions with their child. So if you don't know a lot about it and you want to find out more activities that are going on, please log on to our website at www.springisd.org for more information. Now, later this month, starting on April 29th, we're going to kick off our pre-kindergarten and kindergarten roundup at all of our elementary schools. This year is a little different because we're launching our first ever online registration. Our goal is to streamline the process, minimize the potential for typos and errors, and generally make it easier for the parents so they don't have so much to handle by registering multiple children, which traditionally brings a lot of paperwork. With any process, we do expect a little hiccups. We're asking our community and our parents to work with us as we implement our new registration center. In addition to that, yesterday we had a wonderful opportunity at our Spring ISD Foundation golf tournament. And so if you saw my picture today, you should have seen a person that had great form. But the joke was, I'm glad it was a picture, not a video, that you couldn't see where my ball actually went. So once again, thank you so much, the Spring Education Foundation, for helping us raise money for teachers and students. We all had a lot of fun yesterday, and many thanks to you for your continued hard work. So yesterday we had the golf tournament, and a week ago Saturday I got to run, and what some people say I rather jogged, in the district's fun run. Once again, these are all opportunities for our district and our community to participate in, to raise money for scholarships for our student. All of this physical activity is great for me and also for the district as well. At this time, later on in our spotlights, I'll be sharing some updates regarding the proceeds from the fun run and how we'll be celebrating those. So we'll save that for a little later. But once again, this does conclude my remarks, and thank you all. We do have some upcoming events just to mark your calendars. We have Volunteer Appreciation Reception on April the 11th. We have the Spanish Spelling Bee on April 13th. And we have our CTE Advisory Board Scholarship Luncheon on April the 26th. For a future date, for the save the date, please mark your calendar for March 28th as well. That's when we're planning to have the fun run for next year. This does conclude my remarks. Thank you all very much. See, my kids are clapping.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Board Trustee Chris Bell, who's joined us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Do we have any other trustees that would like to make remarks?
Trustee Durant, I do. I'd like to make a remark on our Tri-Club FFA. So this is always a really busy time of year for us, but it's a good time because we get to see the successes and accomplishments of our students. As you guys know, we get these big paychecks for serving as board members, but just seeing the success of our kids is reward enough. But this is one of my favorite events, actually, especially the auction. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars raised by our students for scholarships. And the dedication that it takes, especially those with steers and pigs, they have to be there every day. Rain, cold, 110-degree weather, every morning to make sure they're caring and taking care of their animals. So it's a big commitment, and it's always exciting to see it pay off for them in the end. And so I just wanted to recognize all of our students that did such an amazing job. The Stampede, the Superintendent Stampede, we were right up front. It's always fun to bid. They're very cautious. They make sure our CFO has the paddle. They don't give them to us. But it was really a great event, and I enjoyed it, and I wanted to share that with everyone this evening.
Okay. Thank you.
As Trustee Durant mentioned, there's a lot going on right now, and thanks to the communications department, I can always go out on the website or Facebook or Twitter and keep up with everything going in our district. from Tri Club to the fun run to our golf tournament. There's no way you're going to be able to get out to everything, but it's nice to look through there and see all the photos of our students, administrators, parents. So thank you. It's nice to be able to go out there and look at all of the events going on. So thank you.
And also, this is quite a busy month for all of us. I had a chance to go to Austin twice. One trip with the Texas School Board Black Caucus, where I serve as a treasurer for, and we'll just let you all know I represent you guys very well as a treasurer for this organization. But I think the most highlighted thing that I want to discuss is this past Saturday, from the greatest fraternity in the world, we had a chance to recognize three young men from Westfield High School, and it was a great occasion because it's not often you have these men in the type of setting where they get a chance to set among the best of the best. It was in our college leadership conference luncheon where they had a chance to actually listen to oratory speakers from all across from our our 4 districts. And these young men are going to be awarded scholarships, and I think they had a great experience. I want to just go on record to thank President Newhouse and thank you, Dr. Watson, for attending it, and thank you for your comments. And my last comment is that last week I had a chance to meet with AFT, which is our teachers union, to just discuss with them our priorities for the legislature we approved last month. And I shared it with them in the meeting. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to mention that Winfred Adams and myself, along with Dr. Watson and Dr. Hill, had an opportunity to attend the National School Board Conference in Philadelphia last week. Thank you all for joining. Oh, and Dr. Jensen, thank you. And Dr. Jensen. And her husband was a good escort. But we were very happy to represent Spring. We picked up a lot of valuable information. The sessions were very good and important and a very good training for us. So thank you, Spring, for allowing the board trustees to attend that national conference. I'd also like to mention that this is scholarship time. And I'd like to say thank you to the Omicron Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. On Saturday, they awarded $33,000 in scholarships to Spring ISD students and Aldine. Yes. And I know we have some parents in the room whose little ones, seniors, received those scholarships, so congratulations to them as well. Congratulations, students.
Madam President, we also had the chair of our scholarship committee is actually here this evening, Ms. Trinita Carroll, who read through hundreds and hundreds of scholarships to make those selections.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. We know how hard you work. Thank you. Okay, we will move on. We will continue with tonight's agenda. And, of course, points of pride and spotlights are the next items on our agenda. So thank you for joining us.
Good evening, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, esteemed members of the board. This evening, we actually have 4 agenda items, but 7 points of pride. We have 5 students receiving a point of pride, 1 employee, and a department. And with that, I'd like to bring you down to the horseshoe. Our tradition here to explain to our audience here this evening, and points of pride are only given out for first, second, or third place at state and or the invitation to compete at a national level. They've been in existence with our board for several decades, and they're a really big deal here in Spring ISD. Our first point of pride tonight is going to a student athlete from Robertson Middle School. At this time, I'd like to call up 7th grader Kalia Coleman. just for a second. Kalia was one of 9 Robertson students who represented Spring ISD at the Texas Middle School State Wrestling Championship held January 25th and 26th in Dallas. I'd also like to invite Robertson coach Ernest Webb and Avery Dyer to stand next to Kalia. To give you a little background, 5 years in existence, correct? Founded by Coach Webb. It's an incredible program that gives these students the opportunity to build leadership skills and to compete at the state level now, right? Okay, so now for Kalia and why we are here this evening. I want to be really clear that the entire Robertson wrestling team had a phenomenal year, winning a third-place team trophy at the Houston City Wrestling Championship. At state, they also had a great showing when they went up against the best 542 middle school wrestlers in the entire state to make it to state. Only 542 middle school wrestlers went to state, and the Robertson team won 3 individual medals. But Kalia is the only one here this evening because she's the only one that met the point of pride first, second, or third place. Kalia had a third place medal in the 113-pound weight class and qualified her for our very exclusive Point of Pride Award this evening, and I'd like to give her a big round of applause. Kalia, this is a really big deal, and we have a tradition here. So for a point of pride, you're going to get to walk the horseshoe and shake all the board members' hands, and then with your coaches, we're going to take a photo that goes out in our board newsletter. Okay? So go ahead. Welcome. Thank you. Okay. Absolutely not. Our next Point of Pride award is going to a Spring ISD team member who was recently recognized by her social studies education peers here in the state of Texas. Can I please have Spring ISD social studies specialist Michelle Nayray join me up here at the podium? Right here. Every year at the annual conference of the Texas Social Studies Supervisors Association, the group awards one educator for their outstanding work in the area of social studies, recognizing this person's significant contributions to the discipline, the state of Texas, and the lives of both their students and colleagues. The award is officially known as the Rosemary Morrow Supervisor of the Year Award. It was created to honor a longtime social studies teacher and administrator in Austin ISD and former director of social studies curriculum at the TEA. This year, our very own Spring ISD team member, Michelle Nayray, was chosen for this prestigious award after her nomination was spearheaded by campus-based faculty members who compiled letters from students, parents, teachers, and others in support of her nomination. That alone speaks volumes for Michelle's work and why we are so proud to recognize her this evening with the Board of Trustees Point of Pride Award. Please join me in congratulating Michelle. Walk the horseshoe and get your photo. right. Next up. Next up, we have a group of Spring High School students who recently competed in the Texas French Symposium. I know we have 3 of those. Okay. At this time, I'd like to call up Spring High School sophomore Brian Addington. Spring High School junior Jocelyn Parra. Have you stand right next to Brian. Spring High School sophomore Frida Rivera. And last, Spring High School junior Olivia Sanchez. I'd like to also call up their teacher, Mr. Adrian Rodriguez Caramillo. All in all, 15 Spring ISD students competed in several different events, including poetry, prose, art, and drama. 12 of these students made it to the semifinals, and 9 made it to the state finals. The students before you, though, this evening placed among the top finishers in their events, qualifying for the Point of Pride Awards this evening, because, of course, they require first, second, or third at the state level. At this time, I'd like to call forward each one, and I know we have Brian first. So Brian is receiving this award this evening for winning 3rd place in the group drama competition. Walk the horseshoe, then wait right here to the left. Next up, we have Jocelyn, who also received a 3rd place in the group drama competition. And Frida, also for winning a 3rd place in the group drama competition. And last but not least, we have Olivia Sanchez winning a 3rd place in the prose competition. And we are also having their teacher, Mr. Rodriguez Caramillo, walk the horseshoe as well and have a photo. And I know some of the team that, Ms. Pope, you guys want to come up for a photo? Come up and be in the photo. And we're going to get you in the photo. Okay, last but not least, we have our very own Spring ISD Procurement Services Department under the leadership of their Executive Director, Philip Ellison. So, you guys have seen this group here before. We're so proud of them. Every year they qualify for this award. It's amazing. So you know, the team has a history of going above and beyond with procurement services. The department, this award is going out for the 2019 Award of Merit for School District Purchasing Operations from TASBO. Only 35 districts in the entire state receive this award. So it's a really big deal. I know I say that every time, but I do want Philip to come and, present his team members, and then their chief, Ann Rest-Brooks, I want for the photo. But this is a really big deal, and we're so proud to have you back once again for this award. So, Philip, would you introduce your team members? And then
Thank
we'll
you,
have you
Tiffany.
walk the horseshoe.
Two of the people for which this award, if without them, would not have been possible. Geraldine Mosley, our Director of Purchasing, and Brian Broussard, our Contract Specialist.
Oh, and you have to be in the photo. I said in the photo. Congratulations. Thank you. That concludes our Point of Pride portion of our recognitions this evening, and I think I'm going to pass the floor over to Ms. Bradford, but I think you can return to your seats for this portion, the spotlight portion.
Let's go back down.
Ready? All right, good evening, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, members of the board. Tonight I'm very excited to recognize our Spring ISD middle and high school students who competed in the campus, district, and regional History Day competitions. These 6 middle school students will be continuing on to the state level competition in late April, representing Spring ISD. So students, I will call you up, and our director of middle school, Ms. Robin Carrier, and our social studies specialist, Ms. Michelle Nayray, will hand you your trophies, and then you can return to your seats. So first, representing Bailey Middle School, we have Noya Ioha, who is receiving first place in the individual performance in the junior division with the topic of the Cats of Oakland and the Black Panther Party. Congratulations. And representing Robertson Middle School, we have Abigail Asana, who has received second place in paper in the junior division with the topic, The Bombing of Hiroshima. And come on up from Robertson Middle School, we have Thomas Sines and Sean Pierce, who have received first place in the group exhibit in the junior division with the topic of First A-Bomb. And last but not least, we want to represent from Twin Creeks Middle School, Isabel Gahn and Zanaya Wheeler, who received second place in the group website division in the junior division with the topic Protestant Reformation. Congratulations, students. We know you will represent us well in the state competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Our next spotlight, I'd like to again recognize our Chief Communications Officer, Tiffany Dunn Oldfield.
At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Watson up to the podium. We are going to be presenting the checks for the proceeds that we earn from our fun run to 3 groups this year. So we're really, last year we gave 2 checks of $5,000 for scholarships. This year we had a little bit more funds. We made a little bit more money from our fun run, and we're really happy to present those checks this evening. I'd also like to invite Ms. Trinita Carroll, Parent Engagement, Director of Parent Engagement, Leticia Grounds, our Executive Director of FACE, and Sylvia Wood forward. They're each going to kind of hand Dr. Watson the checks. These 3 ladies made the money that we're presenting tonight possible. Sylvia is the one who controls the funds, the expenses on the event and all those pieces. And Trinita and Leticia, they're the ones that really go out and get our partners to support the fun run so that we can keep the cost at $15 to be part of the fun run, but still raise a good amount of money for scholarships. So with that, I'll pass the floor to Dr.
So thank you. Not all the time do I have the opportunity to come up and give these three groups checks because they're always giving us checks. But as you know, we had an outstanding turnout at our fun run. And so the proceeds that were over and above the operating costs from our community, we're going to turn that back over to these groups who are going to give it back out to students for scholarships. So for the first group, I'd like to recognize the Spring ISD Education Foundation. You can see we have checks here. I'd like to ask the members of the foundation to come up. So much like I said earlier, thank you all for your continued support for Spring ISD students and our staff. I'd like to present you with a check for $4,500 to go back in for scholarships for students. Not only are we doing this, we have a real check.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So our next check, you know that one of the things that we do is we always want to make sure that we are perpetuating the education workforce. One of the scholarship events that's coming up is for our future educators, our students that are in the pathway to become teachers. So one way that we can support them towards their dream is to give them back money to help with books or further scholarship. And so tonight we're going to be giving $4,500 to our Spring ISD Future Educator Scholarship Fund. Okay, last but not least, we're going to be getting ready for our CTE Advisory Board Scholarship Luncheon. And so no better way than to kick that off than to award $4,500 to CTE Advisory Board for more scholarships for students. Let's give them a round of applause.
Just really quickly before we close out the spotlight, we do have two other members of our Fun Run committee, Sergeant Bryan and Fred Walker, who also do a lot to make the Fun Run possible with us this evening. Willie isn't with us this evening, but if all of you know that Willie Amendola too plays a huge role in the Fun Run component of the event.
Thank you, Ms. Oldfield. As you know, we are so very, very proud of all of our students. We're happy to see you. And for the organizations that support Spring ISD, the foundation, CTE, all of you all as you leave, thank you. Thank you from the board. Thank you. Our fun run was a huge success, board. Okay, we're looking forward to doing it again next year with more and more runners. Thank you. Chief Hill, we'd like to recognize you next. Thank you.
Thank you, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, and trustees. This evening, we are bringing forward to you some representatives from the Superintendent Students Group. As you know, since his first year here in the district, Superintendent Watson has had meetings with students from all 5 of our high schools. This year, our theme was student voice. We ensured that students had an opportunity to be heard with several different audiences. First, starting their student voices, exercising them with one another. Having an opportunity to exercise their voice with the superintendent and address their concerns and needs to him. They had an opportunity to speak to some of the other cabinet chiefs. Their voices once again were heard when they had an opportunity to speak to the Advisory Committee on Education, our teacher representative group. They had the opportunity to address the faculty at each of their home campuses, along with others represented from the superintendent student groups. And they also had an opportunity to speak to all the principals in the district. And so tonight, their voices will be heard by you, our Board of Trustees. Dr. Pettis is going to assist us in bringing forward our students. They will each briefly speak to you and let you know how they felt about this year's theme, Student Voice.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here. My name is Xavier Robinson. I attend Dekaney High School, and I'm a current senior there. I want to start off by saying having me here now at this podium really makes me feel like that my voice matters and that we are starting this growing process. This past Friday, we was at a design team meeting, and I was telling them that we were already making a difference in Spring IZ, such as the focus groups that we've been having, such as the principal meetings that we've been having, such as the design teams that we've been having, and the meetings with the faculty at my home school, where those are all the things that starts the growing process. And it's funny how change happens because the teachers were taking what we suggested, the young scholars, and to incorporate them into their classrooms, such as trying to get students to come to the board, trying to get students more engaged and more involved, thinking of things, creative things to help the students be more interactive with the lesson plans, and making sure that no student is left behind, and making sure that they have at least a little bit of the understanding of what they're trying to teach. And I know that Spring IZ is growing. It's starting here. And I know that if we try hard enough, we could possibly be the best district in Texas. Now, with that being said, are we going to continue this process, or are we going to make this our stopping point? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jordan Abraham, and I am a current senior at Westfield High School, and I also serve as the senior class president. I was invited to this evening's school board meeting, and I was asked, do I feel that my voice has made a difference in improving my campus and Spring Independent School District as a whole? In response to that question, I will say yes and no. I would say yes because in the past few weeks, some teachers and administrators have approached me and made small talk, how is school, how are my classes, and, stuff like that, just how is life in general. And I just feel like if it's a great step in the right direction, but like all things in life, improving our school will be a process. I am merely one of the many students who attend Westfield High School, and if better student-teacher relationships were built, then we have minimal problems. I strongly believe that positive attitudes create positive environments. And I know for a fact that nothing will change overnight, and nothing has. But I know that if we're focused more on the small things, the bigger picture will be so much greater in the end. So thank you so much for you guys' help and for being here tonight.
Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Bria Porter, and I am currently a senior at Westfield High School. First, I would like to commend Spring ISD for creating a voice for their students, and I thank you so much for the opportunity. On another note, have I seen any changes or progress within the faculty? Not as much as there could be, but the night is still young, as the kids would say. And I know Spring ISD can be great and that these sessions have not been in vain. Also, in my opinion, we started these sessions a little late in the school year. Therefore, there hasn't been any real time to provoke the changes we want to see. With that being said, Spring ISD, you still have time and a whole summer to come back stronger than ever. I just won't be here to see it, but I will gladly check you guys out on social media. Lastly, I would just like to end on a positive note. Things will not get better until we all change. Thank you again.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you for actually being able to give me this opportunity to stand in front of you to actually represent my voice for Spring High School and the students of this district. Throughout it all, this is something I've never actually seen before. The superintendent has actually given us the opportunity to be the voice for other students who haven't been able to, or just simply have never had the opportunity. Ever since we actually have been starting these meetings, personally, I have not seen anything that actually has changed, but I do know this. Rome was never built in one day. It took time, it took sacrifice, and it took a lot of people to actually build it. Pillar by pillar, stone by stone, they were actually able to make it into a great empire. Throughout it all, starting here, even though this is late in the year, this is something that could have been started sooner, we may have gotten even changed any farther. Me personally, I'm a 11th grader at Spring High School. I have a little sister on the way that's going right behind me, and I'm hoping that even if I do not get to see any of the changes, she can tell me each and everything that has improved and it will improve.
Good evening. My name is Madison Schmidt. I would love to thank Miss President Newhouse and Dr. Rodney Watson and the people who visited my school. I'm very appreciative of all of the work you've done to make sure that our student voices are heard and make sure that we feel appreciated and validated and we're not just, oh, you know, you're students, we're teachers, all that sort of thing. I also would like to say I have seen change, not only in my school, but in other schools. My parents are actually student teachers. My dad is a chemistry teacher, and my mother is a school counselor. And so I see how they improve themselves and how they've been improving their schools and how their schools have been improving. And I would really like to thank all of you for giving us students the opportunity to speak and make our schools and this district better. Thank you so much.
Which campus?
Which campus? My father is at Lee Early. Lee T, sorry.
Hello, my name is Ananda. I'm from Dekaney High School. I'm currently a senior. Thank you for being here and listening to me and volunteering your time. I believe our voices have finally risen amongst all the negativity that causes chaos in our school. I believe our voices have caused and will cause a tremendous amount of change and evolution of expectations for not just students, but for the administrators that facilitate our schools. Voicing my opinion to my fairly new principal was one of the most beneficial tasks I could ever done for my peers, staff, and administration. Here I was able to voice out the wrongs that these adults were overlooking, and it felt really good to know I'm not the only student that feels the same. And all these beautiful voices get to tell these adults about the blind spots they keep missing over and over in all these different aspects. In an average class at Dekaney High School, a visitor cannot even ask my peers beneficial life questions because these kids respond with silence, or the ones brave enough to speak in this thick silence is usually one or two people. No child needs to be left behind. Don't tell my peers it's okay to not know what they want to be in life. Help them figure it out. Let's encourage counselors to find the interests these children have instead of just filling them in classes. Let's find things that are proactive with education, maybe with a twist, maybe like a school trivia scavenger hunt that differs in different grade levels. I have over 2,000 peers that I hold myself accountable for changing the way they're currently learning today. I want to improve their learning skills, their environment skills, and all the life lessons that they learn, and hope they learn it before they even graduate because they need it. Because if they don't, they're going to not be successful as they could have been. I want to ensure my brothers and sisters are getting better things that I wasn't provided with freshman year. Every child counts, and I believe these student board panels will eventually make every student, every teacher, every admin count. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chloe. I'm a senior and I go to Westfield High School. I believe that the past panel meetings haven't done much expected help. I feel that things have not changed in our school. It still feels the same. However, I do believe that these past meetings have impacted the school a little more, bringing awareness to the administration officials and giving the students of Spring ISD a chance that our schools haven't been given to us. I believe that being in the school panels has enlightened our school leaders and showed them that we care if you care. As a student and senior amongst the Spring ISD Society, I can truly say that I see a proper future set out somewhere in the horizon for the remaining students of Spring ISD. With change comes a start, and here we should start at these meetings taking place. Maybe I wouldn't be able to experience the changes in Westfield, but I am glad to know that I was able to start it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peng Luo. I am taking the sophomore year in Spring High School, and I am an exchange student from China. Firstly, thanks Spring ISD can invite me to come here, make the speech. We don't even have this kind of opportunity to share our voice in China at all. And also, I believe my voice has been heard because I see the Spring ISD really made the actions to improve the district. And in my mind, I don't know what is the past look like here, but from what I experienced, I feel good in totally. And the teachers are very positive and the school is efficient, so I really enjoy here. And I'm very appreciate the people that working for here. Maybe I won't see the big change in this school year before I go back China, but I hope and I believe Spring ISD will be getting better and better.
Hello, my name is Velia Miraluna. I go to Dekaney High School. I'm a senior. So, this is what I have prepared for y'all today. Have you ever thought to yourself, what have I done today to make myself a better person? Has it ever crossed your mind that whatever we say, do, and act upon impacts the people surrounding us? Someone is always watching how we react to the things we dislike or disagree with the most. Now, I know some of y'all are sitting here thinking, how do these questions relate to the main question? Well, teamwork begins with an individual. We better ourselves to then contribute our skills to whatever activity is being asked of us to portray. This is what Spring ISD has begun to do with these student panels and workshop groups, and with every step taken during this process, we have moved a step further. I do believe my voice has made an impact. I didn't get the great chance to see Spring ISD grow and flourish, but I'm very proud and happy to say that I was part of this change. But remember this, change only happens when there's passion. Passion over perfection. It's the little things that make a huge difference. Sometimes we have to take one step back to take 3 steps forward. And it all starts with what have we done today, rather than what have I done today. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you.
So some of the best work I think that I've ever done since I've been here has been with the superintendent student groups. I grow every time I see them. I learn something new, and they touch me in a different way. Please join me in giving them another round of applause for coming and speaking their voice today. they've remained in the event that any of the trustees would like to ask them any further questions. They wanted to be sure to answer them.
Well, let me first say before we start asking you questions, because we do have some. We've heard quite a bit about you, and we know that sometimes students are a little shy about coming forth. But Dr. Watson, this group wasn't shy at all. And we thank you for volunteering to come forth and share with us. We appreciate you. We heard you. We are listening. And thank you. And I will let my other board members share comments.
I just want to thank you all for coming out. We appreciate the fact that you guys have the interaction, and you also take it back to your peers. I recall when we were just looking at bringing ninth graders into Winship, I talked to a student about those concerns that I had, and he said, well, you know what, we have what's called the Winship Way, and we're going to teach them the Winship Way, and so you guys can teach them the way that things need to go. So again, we thank you. Dr. Watson and team, I think I heard future teachers speak today, maybe some future board members.
Future lawyers.
Thank you for your passion and what you do, and you're going to have a great future. Thank you guys so much.
I want to echo what my colleagues up here on the board have said. And I kind of would like to see more of this, actually. Earlier in the year, the feedback that you guys provide is some of the most powerful feedback we receive. So please continue to do that. Tell your friends. Come on down to a board meeting and talk about what's going on in the schools, because it's a really good way for us to hear about it. Thank you again.
And you know, even though our role is about education, you guys are our customers, because it's all about you. Learning happens not in the boardroom, but in the classroom between you and your teacher. And nobody knows better what's going on those campuses than the students that are there every day. Your voice matters. It's important to us. I know I'm speaking for my colleagues up here on the board. We were excited about having an opportunity to hear from you. The question I have is, if it was your decision, what would be the next step you would take to expand this program?
Either one of you can come
Yeah, just
forth
have
if
someone
you'd
come
like.
up and speak.
Somebody come up.
Go ahead.
I'm asking because
It
I
can
want
be
to know,
more than
where
one.
do we go next?
Okay, like I said, I just feel like a lot of the time, since we were chosen a part of the panel, that, you know, they're really looking to us like, okay, well, since they're the one with the problem, you know, we're going to start the change with them. I feel like starting to change with us is a great step to have, but at the same time, we just need to have more of this, like, within our campuses, not just, like, meeting with a select few from each campus, but to have smaller groups from maybe each grade level come together, because when one person from one grade is like, okay, this is going on, then it spreads like wildfire. Everybody knows about it. So just to have a better communication from us to our admin, or from us to our teachers, just those relationships that are being built is what's going to help us in the future.
Thank you.
To further expand on what she said, I do believe that the idea for having small groups from each grade level would be truly amazing. That would actually give us points of view from even the youngest to graduates that are already going to be gone. The only thing is, I would honestly love the opportunity to actually talk with my fellow students. Some of my classes, I stood in front of them, I asked each and every one of them what they would actually see. I got some pretty awesome feedback from it all, and I actually see that they actually have hope for seeing this opportunity. Being able to speak with more of them would honestly be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're a junior young man? So we can look forward to hearing from you your senior year, early. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, as my speech kind of implied, I believe that teamwork would really benefit not only as a high school person, but being here from pre-K all the way to my senior year. I really do feel like teamwork is required, and it needs to build more of that communication. And with that teamwork, I believe that we're going to accomplish a lot more, because it's not just about what the student is doing or the teacher or
for the superintendent. It's really about what are we doing together to really help build this community, because it is a community at the end. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hello again. I predict that in the future, the Spring ISD School District will grow to be a lot better, especially when we started doing the panels. Everything starts with a change. So I feel in order to better the district, we should start with organization. Organization, cancels out frustration, and it doesn't have any chaoticness to it. And all the students in the high schools are depending on the adults to teach them how to be an adult in their future. So I feel if we start with organization, then it will help the teachers help the students. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again. To piggyback off what my colleagues was saying, I would say communication, socialization, and organization is the ultimate main points at this point, the focal point at this point. And more interaction from the board. Only time I honestly see a superintendent or anyone of higher power come and visit our campus is like once a month or once every semester. I'm just saying, not to be rude or anything. Oh. Y'all don't live here. Come communicate with us. Come interact with us as we're expecting from our faculty. We're expecting these teachers to ask these kids questions and socialize and build a better bond with them, but also that comes from the higher power as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question as well. I am very interested in some of you telling me what is your favorite class or a couple of favorite classes, and why is it your favorite class?
Oh, wow.
Hello again. My favorite class, I would say that it has to be my extracurricular class, which is my band class. The reason why that is my favorite class is because the directors not only build a relationship with the students, however it is professional relationship with the students. They make sure that we are okay. They check in on us. They make sure that that we can be successful later on in the future. Hey, what college you're going to? Hey, can I help you with financial aid? Hey, can I help you apply for more colleges, scholarships? I love them because they help me to be better in life.
Thank you.
Hello. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Madison Schmitz again. I'm a senior at Carl Winchie Senior High School, and I'm in the construction management pathway. My favorite class is my English class this year. I'm in dual credit English. We have a slightly smaller class, which definitely allows for more conversation, and we love talking. Every time we finish our work early, we have like a circle time. We talk about life, or we talk about what's coming up in our lives, or assignments even. What I'm supposed to be talking about. But another one of my favorite classes was calculus last year. I took BC calculus last year. And one of my favorite parts of that class was flipped classroom, actually. I know there are only a few teachers who participate in that, but I think it very much benefited me because I was allowed to ask a lot more questions in class, whereas instead I would have to ask like my dad or ask a peer of mine for help out of school.
So when you say flip learning, the teachers had prepared videos and then you did your actual work in the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
So it was videos or like read through lessons maybe, and then we would do problems in class.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also reintroduce myself. I am Zane Williamson, a 11th grader at Spring High School. To answer that question, for me, it's my three classes of law enforcement, ROTC, and choir. Each and every one of them. My freshman year, I would never have done any of this. I was always wanted to sit in the back of the class, get my work done, keep my head down, just get everything done. each and every one of those, they got me to interact with my peers, and they actually developed me as far as leadership goes. I've been able to stand on stage in choir, sing in front of my entire school, ROTC, take control of squads, or even my law enforcement class, address the entire enforcement for it. This is something that it keeps me active, lets me expand myself as far as socialism goes and as far as leadership goes.
Thank you. Great.
My name is Ananda Martins. I'm from Decaney High School, and my two favorite classes are my extracurricular class, Color Guard, and my culinary class. Both classes teach me passion. It shows me passion. It gives me courage. It shows me love. Both teachers know exactly what it takes to motivate me, to get me moving, to get me motivated for myself and to better myself. And I would like to thank them in their honor, even though they're not here. They have shown me so much of what a young individual I can be.
Wonderful. Thank you.
One thing that roams my mind is how come we never learn anything that we're actually going to use realistically, like how to file taxes, how to do an interview for a job, what it takes to be a strong person in life, and that, you know, most adults say that you have to struggle before you get there, and I don't think it's just that black and white. I think that there's people out there that are willing to help us change who we are and that are a lot kinder than the adults in our high school tell us that they are. And one of the people that brought to me this idea is my pre-calculus teacher, and he so far has been my favorite high school teacher I've ever had, and all of my 4 years. And it's because, I know I've said this twice, but he really is an old man. And I think that it's true. With age comes wiseness, and he's very, very wise. He teaches us how to imply our taxes into our math homework, and he teaches us how to do very basic life skills outside of school, inside of our school work. And I feel that if more teachers take notes from him, as far as being able to interact with your children on basis of life and their class, that it will help everyone else in so many different manners. And that is why he is my favorite teacher I've had so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What high school again?
Westfield.
Hi everyone, my name is Peng. I'm taking the sophomore year in Spring High School. It's my first year study here, and it's my last year study here as well. And I have a couple favorite classes. They are chemistry and track. For chemistry, I really like we can do a lot of labs here. In China, we didn't do even one time in China. So here, like we do once half month. So, and my chemistry teachers, she's engaged with us a lot. And for the track, in China, but we just go outside and run, and it just, and we don't have competitions. And we run it just for the exams. So everybody have to run the track. So at that time, I don't like the track because we would run for the exams. And then here, when I got here, it's my first time made a school sports team, and it's my first time went to the competitions, and it's my first time experienced the team, this experience as well.
Okay.
And the coach, they are very professional. They teach you how to warm up, how to run, and how to relax, how to stretch, something like that. Anyway, I really enjoyed those classes here.
Where are you from? And
I'm from China.
Where about though? China.
China?
Yeah.
You mean a school?
No. Province or city?
Oh, okay. My city is a small city, so they couldn't provide us that many opportunities to do the labs or the track competitions. Maybe in the big cities it's better, but in my city it's just so. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I repeat the question?
Favorite class.
What's your favorite class or two, and why is it your favorite class?
Thank you. It was just a long line. But so I have a couple of favorite classes. I love my band class, I love my art class, and I love my pre-calculus class. The thing that I find very interesting is that with fine arts in general classes, you have the opportunity to have that one-on-one communication with your students, and you do have I don't know why it's about fine arts teachers, but they just seem to be more interested about why are you so interested in what you're doing, instead of like, well, just do it just to do it, you know? So it's interesting, like, if we could just incorporate that with the math classes or the science classes, that would be really cool, which is what my pre-calculus class does. And he does this thing where he teaches the first thing that he's just kind of laying it out for us, and it's just like, okay, we didn't get that at all, but let's move forward. But he ignites us. He makes us want to continue with the lesson to see what was it actually about. So then he just continues with the process, and what he does is he calls up a student to the board, and as the student is performing up there, he just like makes sure that they're doing it okay, and he's just kind of guiding us into that. What the lesson's about. So I think that one-on-one and that self-independence from us as students, I think that really helps us. And sometimes some students really, really get the subject, and he just has them like going around helping the other students out. So that also kind of makes friends, and yeah, that's a good environment.
Thank you. Thank you all, because you know this. Please.
Sorry, I know I'm holding you guys up.
Please.
Okay. I just wanted to share, because when I first came into high school, all throughout middle school, I went to Robertson Middle School. So all throughout middle school, I was so adamant about becoming a pediatrician and being in the health pathway. But this year, I actually joined TAFE, Texas Association for Future Educators, at Westfield, and at first, I was really like skeptical, like, okay, am I gonna like this? And it really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And now, I'm going to University of Texas at Austin and majoring in education. So I just want to give thanks for allowing us to have TAFE at my campus, because even though it was kind of like late for me to say, oh, I'm going to become an educator, I mean, it's never too late for anything, but I really appreciated having my teacher to like guide me. And when I participated in the competitions this year, and I actually qualified for state, and I won that state. So it was just a new experience for me, and I really appreciated that. So I really love that extracurricular program TAFE for.
Do you actually get to teach kids?
Yes, ma'am. I actually went on the junior achievement trips with them, and we got to teach in the elementary school.
It's it may be different than you thought it was.
Yes, but it actually was a great experience for me to have, and it actually it made me more drove me more to want to become an educator.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
You're gonna come back home, right, to teach?
Okay, I need to talk to you guys one more time. Okay, my name is Bria Porter, once again, and my 3 favorite classes, it's funny because they all do something different for me, but I feel like that's one thing that we need in school, period. You need a balance of different types of teachers and different things, because different things ignite your mind in different ways. So the first class I will talk about is my English dual credit class. I love that class, of course, because it's a college class, which I don't feel that because it's a college class that means the things that, or the way that we learn per se, should only be because it's a college class, if that makes sense. With that being said, I love that class because it's so real. It's such a real class because we talk about real topics and things that are going on in the world, because since it's English, we have to write papers and do things of that nature, and we have group discussions, which I also feel is a reason why I love it so much, because it's engaging with the students, and the teacher will ask a question and I'll say, well, I feel this way about it. And this student will say, well, I feel this way about it. And I feel like that is a great way for students to learn, because you are connecting with your peers and getting other people's perspectives on different things. So I love that class because of that reason. The other class that I loved was my U.S. history class, because this one was a little different. I didn't get treated like I was just a student. I got treated like she actually cared. And she would write songs for us. It sounds a little kiddie, yes, but I passed the test. It was fun and it was engaging because she wrote songs for us. We played little games, and it just really helped me remember. And she did something creative, like she had us write, since I was a junior, she had us write out a letter to ourselves for our senior year. So, for example, I wrote down, "Dear Bria, congratulations on such a successful senior year." And now I am a senior, and when I go back and read that letter, I might be in tears because I accomplished everything that I wrote down in my letter. And we need teachers like that who actually care about you and want you to speak things into existence, because that is a real thing. Amen.
Amen.
My other class that I love is, it's not actually a class, but the other class that I love is my varsity theater class, or that's the program that I'm a part of. I love that class because my director, or my teacher per se, she is very, as the kids say, straight up. And we also need that balance in school. I believe that the students want teachers who are real with them, because in the real world, it is tough. It is not easy. So babying us is not going to push us any further to be the adults that you want to see. So I love her, and I love the class because she is saying that, hey, you need to have a tough skin in this world. So I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to be honest with you, and this is why I didn't pick you for this role, because I need you to understand that you need to do better. So I believe that we need teachers like that as well, and that will help the students a lot for the real world to build a tougher skin. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I heard a lot. I see Dr. Clark sitting back there, and I want to recognize and commend him, because this is what we like to hear about what teachers are doing, the engagement. I have some notes here about ICLE, because I still have questions about how good a job we're doing with engaging kids and lessons that really pop for them. So that was an excellent testimony. Thank you for that.
I'd love to see this every month, maybe not as many, but because of time. But yeah, again, thank you guys for your input, and really we appreciate it. It's very valuable.
I want to echo my colleagues. Being a former educator, I thank you all for sharing, because sometimes, even when I was in the classroom back in the day, you forget the main reason why you're there, and you're there because you're educating and teaching students. Sometimes you have to change your behavior as an educator to reach that child. And I want to thank you all for sharing, being open. Being open to us and tell us exactly how it really is. I'm quite sure Dr. Watson and Dr. Hill, this is going to be a plan that we're going to continue, and I'm quite sure we're going to start it early next year. I'm like Trustee Bell. I'd like to hear more about this, not as many, but maybe as much as possible. So thank you very much for sharing. We appreciate it.
Before we move on, I just wanted to add, one of our scholars tonight shared with us how it brought to the other students hope. And what you've brought to us tonight brings hope for us as well. And I want to thank our administration for the vision to bring this forward, and I'm looking forward to continuing it, because it's good to listen, but you also have to hear what's being said. There's a difference in listening and hearing, and we hear you. I'm also excited about your listening tours, because you're not just listening, our administration's not just listening to our students, but you're listening to parents. And I think as we continue to do that, it only can help us steer a path that will be an excellent way for our students to be successful in the future. So I wanted to say thank you to the administration as well.
Thank you. That was an idea I got from the National School Board Association. One of the presenters said, challenge me to go into schools and just go to a random student and ask them what their favorite class is, and then ask them to take me to that class. So I think I would like to do that in the coming weeks after some testing is done. And one thing that kept coming to my mind, because I know what you all are going through, or probably you may be past this mostly with the EOCs and the STAR tests, but what we go through in Texas to prepare for those tests don't sound like your favorite classes. So it's something we need to look at and think about how we're designing schools. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do look forward to visiting you at your schools,
Yes.
each of you. For our next item, I'd like to recognize our Chief Financial Officer, Ann Westbrooks.
Thank you, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, members of the board. The district issued a request for proposal for special education contracted services, which would provide the district the opportunity to utilize vendors for a wide variety of contracted services, which would include direct services to students as well as professional development and coaching needs for our staff. And so this evening, we're seeking the board's approval to award all 34 of the responding vendors the opportunity to provide these services to the district as needed.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrooks. We will now entertain a motion for the presentation of information regarding request for proposal RFP number 19015.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees award the contract for special education contracted services to the providers recommended by the administration. Second.
It has been moved by Dr. Jensen, seconded by Justine Durant, that the board award the contract for special education contract services to the providers recommended by the administration. All in favor, raise your right hand. Winford,
I'll need to abstain on this vote.
are there any abstentions? One. Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Westbrook.
Yes,
Okay. I will now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees award the contract for special education Oops, sorry. Just had. Our next item is the consent agenda. I will now entertain a motion to approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda.
Second? It has been moved by Winfred Adams and seconded by Janet Gonzalez that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
Just the usual thing that we discuss this in full during our work session.
During our work
Thursday.
session.
Yeah.
Thank you. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Next on our agenda is the public participation portion of our meeting. Chief Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak under public participation?
Yes, Madam President, we do. We have one speaker tonight, Stephanie Ross of 17203 Eden Falls Court in Houston, 77095, who will be speaking to a recognition. Before you begin, Ms. Ross, let me just read the guidelines for speaking before the trustees this evening. The board invites interested citizens to address the board on any subject that they desire, other than allegations concerning the character or capability of any board member, staff member, citizen, or student of the district. The board provides an opportunity on the agenda for citizens to address the board and we welcome your participation. The board will listen and will not interrupt unless the person addressing the board infringes on the guidelines as stated previously or exceeds the time limit authorized for the presentation. In this case, you will have 3 minutes to present. Mr. Sheffer, our director, will keep time, which will be displayed on the monitor. According to law, the board may not take any action on any item that is not on the agenda. The board will not debate nor respond to any question during the meeting in order to research that question thoroughly before replying. The board will seriously consider the matter brought to its attention and respond appropriately. Also, according to law, it is a criminal offense for a person to obstruct, prevent, or interfere with or disrupt a lawfully called meeting through physical action or verbal utterance. Citizens are requested to supplement any oral address to the board with a written summary of their presentation and any recommendations they may wish to suggest. We thank you for your concern regarding our school district, and we will hear from you now.
President Newhouse, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Watson, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. My name is Stephanie Ross, and I'm the Director of Adult Education with Harris County Department of Education. I'm here tonight on behalf of HCD, specifically the Education and Enrichment Division, to honor the special partnership we have with Spring ISD. As you know, HCDE exists to support public education in Harris County by offering services and initiatives within the 25 districts. You may not know this, but in 2016-17, HCDE was heavily involved with Spring ISD. Many of the HISD divisions have worked with your district, ranging from business services, Center for Grants Development, Center for Safe and Secure Schools, Case for Kids, School-Based Therapy, and the Teaching and Learning Center. During our last year of service, we serviced approximately 1,300 students and 815 teachers and educators. We are very proud of our continued collaboration and how together we positively impact schools, students, staff, and the local community. The Adult Education Division welcomes the opportunity to continue partnership with providing literacy programs. Tonight we have a couple of small gifts for you to commemorate our continued collaboration and partnership. If I may have the President and Superintendent come down, please. May I, or no? Okay, we have to.
No, we stop it.
The HCDE Star Award is presented to Spring ISD in recognition of supporting student achievement and staff excellence. The other recognition supports the participation as a member district with our Center for Safe and Secure Schools. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here tonight to highlight a few of the ways that HCDE and Spring ISD work together to provide a better tomorrow for our students. And may I?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, on behalf of the board, We'd like to thank HC Harris County Department of Education. We are very surprised and appreciative of this. So it's a beautiful award. Thank you so very much. Now that we are coming to a close of our meeting, I'm sure the board will be happy to share this and show it to all of those left in the audience. So don't leave. We're very proud. We'll share it with you. But at this time, the Board of Trustees will now recess this open session and convene in a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.071, for the purpose of a private consultation with the board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized. Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.072, for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.074, for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee, and Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.076, for the purpose of considering the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices, or a security audit. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in the closed meeting will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. The time is now 8:28 p.m. We will now reconvene the regular meeting for the Board of Trustees. Time is now 9:09 p.m. In addressing the items discussed during closed session, are there any motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to propose the non-renewal of the term contracts of William Young and Sherry Boatman as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Debbie Jensen and second by Jana Gonzalez that the board approve the superintendent's recommendations to propose the non-renewal of the term contracts of William Young and Sherry Boatman as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam Secretary, Madam President, pardon. I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate at the end of the contract term the probationary contracts of Assad Beya and Mark Holta as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Second.
It has been moved by Chris Bell and second by Winfred Adams that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate at the end of the contract term the probationary contracts of Asaya Beya and Mark Holder as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the contract of George Davis upon finding that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and authorize the superintendent to notify the employee of the proposed termination pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. I further move that the board authorize the superintendent to notify the State Board of Educators certification that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause and of the action taken by the board.
Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
It's been moved by Winfred Adams and second by Donald Davis that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the contract of George Davis upon finding that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and authorize the superintendent to notify the employee of the proposed termination pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. I further move that the board authorize the superintendent to notify the State Board of Education certification that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and of the action taken by the board. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move the board declare the probationary contract of Nakia Felton to be void pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code and approve the termination of her employment with Spring ISD effective immediately. I further move that the board authorize the superintendent of schools to notify this employee of the action taken by the board.
We have a second? Yep. It has been moved by Jana Gonzalez, second by Justine Durant, that the board declare the probationary contract of Nakia Felton to be void pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code and approve the termination of her employment with Spring ISD effective immediately. I further move that the board authorize the superintendent of schools to notify this employee of the action taken by the board. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. There are no other items on tonight's agenda, so I will now entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved by Justine Durant, second by Winfred Adams, that the Board of Trustees adjourn this meeting. All those in favor? And the motion carries unanimously. There being no further business, this meeting is officially adjourned at 9:15 p.m.